Welcome. So I've had a lot of people commenting on my videos as of recently, more so about topics of the shape of the earth. And so I wanted to dedicate a video solely to the topic of the shapes of the earth. And really, this should make a lot of people open-minded really question reality in the sense of how can there possibly be more than one shape to the earth? How are we all standing in the same place yet seeing an object completely different? And this is where understanding the function, the properties of the earth is crucial. We're only thinking of the earth's shape because we're trying to find a working model of the universe, right? But we'll never understand the shape or the properties of the earth with just using one half of our brain. One side is imagination and the other side is logistics, what you can prove and see with your own eyes. But one thing to note is these two eyes are deceiving you. We're not seeing the actual objects. The objects we're actually seeing are our own mind, and that's why we have three eyes, and this is imperative to note. You have been given three eyes, not two. These two are for looking, and the one inner eye is for seeing, which is where the term seeing is believing comes into play. This is how we're sharing the same space, yet seeing a different object. Or the same object, we're all calling it the earth, but it's holding a different shape, a different frequency, a different atomic structure to one another, because you're only seeing the depths of your own mind. You're only seeing into yourself. And I want to explain the shapes of the earth is just kind of grazing the surface. It's so much deeper than just a shape, especially when you understand that this is a subjective experience. You, the seer, and everything that you are seeing are directly connected, directly one. And this is what the spoon boy references in the Matrix. Do not try and bend the spoon, that is impossible. Instead, only realize the truth, there is no spoon. Then you'll see that it's not the spoon bending, it's only yourself. You can apply that to the earth, the universe, the body, and every word we know. Do not try and change the shape of the earth, that's impossible. Instead, only realize the truth, there is no earth. Then you'll see that it's not the earth that's changing, it is only yourself. And this is why I went over those CIA documents where they released the two functions of the brain hemispheres in consciousness. It discusses how we directly influence the atomic structure of solid matter based on what we believe, based on the frequency we're vibrating at, based on how deeply we have met ourselves. And this is why gurus instruct people coming to them to look within yourself before touching the world, before studying and dissecting the world. Because once we dissect and study the world, we're doing it from the egoic sense, from the false self sense. We're looking for things that aren't actually there in places that they're actually not. What we're searching the skies for and the microscopic atom for has never been outside of ourselves, has never been separate to ourselves. But the more we make it our mission to connect to or find what it is we're looking for, the more we gap ourselves from it, separate ourselves from it, never realizing it's you the whole time. You are what you're looking for, which is why what you're looking for is looking for you. Or what you're seeking is seeking you. However, I was a very heavy flat earth activist for about a year. Discovered that this was untrue. There was too many flaws, too many errors with the model. So me being an unbiased truth seeker, I had no problem leaving this behind. For some people, it's hard. Even though we know there's things wrong with it or there's flaws, we still want to persist and this is true because we can't accept the fact that we still have not come across the truth. But inevitably, if you are a truth seeker unbiasedly, you'll be willing to investigate anything, anywhere. You'll be willing to look at any place. You'll be willing to leave behind anything you once believed, once you know in your heart it's not true. Now with the flat earth model, this brings the student, the person, great excitement when they come across this, because it starts off with you questioning things you've never questioned before, which brings about excitement. It brings about excitement because as we start questioning things we've never questioned, it starts becoming more apparent to us that, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense, and nothing we've been taught as far as the working model, this universe, makes sense. And the argument for the flat earth community is that Earth and us are a perfectly designed creation. And what their argument is that NASA and this heliocentric model where we're flying through free space at an accident, their argument is we're not an accident. We're not some accident that shot out of an explosion and just happened to create all these natural laws and to have everything perfectly divine as it is. So the argument is valid. What the flat earth community is trying to prove to people is that we are a perfectly divine creation, that this is not an accident. They're trying to bring purpose and meaning to the working function or the working model of the universe. So again, each one is a stepping stone, gradually leading you to your selfless self, right? But you don't just make it there. I went from flat earth to realizing this wasn't true to moving into the concave earth. And if you're unfamiliar with the concave earth, this is fine. All it basically is instead of you being outside of this ball and shooting through infinite space, the concave earth reverses the idea. You are inside the ball. Earth is enclosed, and space is the central point in the middle. And this had me fully convinced that this was the answer, because me and my friend Gemini were basically one of the first, I'm not going to claim, ownership, but we were one of the first few people that were actually starting to put out videos, evidence, paperwork, things supporting the concave earth. We were making connections in ways that had never been put out before, because everyone was on the flat earth model at this time. And it was roughly 2018, 17. But everyone at this time was promoting only the flat earth model. So me and my friend Gemini were one of the few who were putting out content, videos, papers, showing how the macro and the micro, the above and the below, are one and the same. The human eye is a dot with everything spreading from it, and you apply this to all creation, every seed, every flower, every plant, every tree. You all begin from the singular dot, the point, and expand out. And so this was my evidence, this is basically what I called God's thumbprint on its creation, is that code. There is a code to creation, and it's perfectly divine. The Fibonacci sequence is a singular point spiraling from out of the void. But what made me realize the concave earth model was not valid? There was only one flaw in this model. One. It works with real life, real time. You can support it through the movement of the stars, the eclipsing of the moon. Everything worked perfectly with the concave model, except for one question. And again, when you arrive at truth, there is no stone unturned. There is no question left. When you know, you know. And so every day it ate me alive because I couldn't answer the question. I had people asking me every day on my videos, and I would avoid the question because I couldn't answer it myself. But that question was, okay, we're inside the ball. If we're inside the ball, what's outside of this ball? And what this made me realize is the very same way we'll naturally ask the question, what's outside the ball? Is the same way, it's the very same teaching whether we were inside the earth or outside the earth. Because naturally so, again, when you do not arrive at truth, there will always bring questions. There will always bring confusion. And that's why I tell people to focus their questions on the one thing that matters most. Who am I? Because it's what we're calling I that is perceiving this world, that is shaping this world in accordance to how we're seeing that I, in accordance to what we believe that I is. And since we have limited and contained this I to a human, to all these definitions and stories that we believe in, we have veiled ourselves, limited ourselves where there are no limits. But us believing in them makes them reality. And that's why reality is subjective. But back to the point. What the heliocentric model does when we're outside the earth is it puts us in infinite space where we're just floating through an abyss. And I realized when we're inside the earth, it's the very same thing. What's outside the ball? It's still the abyss. You're still in outer space, if you want to call it that, infinite space. So yes, I returned source to the center. Yes, I could prove that this was an intelligent creation by matching it to all the designs of creation, all the patterns. But I couldn't answer the question, what's outside of it? Since we're inside now. And that's when I realized I've been teaching the answer the whole time. The two were one and the same. I was saying it the whole time, but I wasn't making the connection. Until one day, and this is how I tell people this happens, you make the breakthrough in an instantaneous moment. It hits you. Because it hit me in an instantaneous moment when I'm sitting in my room. There is no inside or outside. Again, it is you, the I, that splits itself into two and creates inside, outside. And this is where you get your Trinity, because you see what you have here? Sorry for my horrible triangle here. You have the singular point of one dot. This is the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye, because there's only one presence here. There's only one consciousness here. And it's what we're all identifying I with. This is what makes us all connect. This is what brings us all home. When we leave behind our name, all these things that make us separate, we're all the underlying consciousness, the underlying principle of I. But this implies the triangle is showing you one source at the top creating duality. And the duality is, again, inside and outside. So what you will find is inside and outside may be different frequencies based on the belief. Again, you can change the atomic structure. However, the frequency shares the same polarity point. And that polarity point is the I, the you, the observer. The seer and what's seen are one and the same. And once you know this to your core, you will never again ask what the shape of the earth is, because you will understand that every word that you are speaking is simply an illusion. It has no actual shape. So this is what it means. There is no spoon. It's not the spoon bending. It's only yourself. These words are only being projected, created through the mind itself. And this is why, again, it's imperative to know you have three eyes and not two. This entire video that I've just covered is where the metaphorical concept of opening the third eye has come from. But we have made it a mission now. We have made it something that we can accomplish, we can achieve by doing. And this is why you have people paying other people hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to help them open their third eyes, when it's not that simple. But it is. You have the power all along. You can't pay someone else to do this for you. Only you can let go. Only you can surrender, because it's your beliefs that is confining you to the mind itself. There is no limits in a limitless consciousness, in a formless consciousness. So the only place form is ever taking place is the mind itself. Our ego is a made-up entity, a made-up character that never actually exists beyond the mind itself. This is what we live through, exist through, and suffer through day after day, is the ego, the separate entity, this false entity, which lives nowhere but the mind. Every day when we dress up for work or dress up to go out, we put on an image and we look at ourselves in the mirror, expecting everyone in the outer world to see this image. But reality is subjective, and when you know this, you know no one is actually seeing this image that you're presenting but you. Everyone is only seeing you in the depths that they have seen themselves, in the depths that they believe in themselves. This is why knowing who you are, again, is imperative. We should know who we are before we make it our mission to go revolt against government systems or go tear down our city streets. Corruption is the natural consequence of us forgetting who we are here. So again, these are just stepping stones. The flat earth should be a stepping stone. The concave earth, the hollow earth, the whatever shape earth should always be a stepping stone, because inevitably you'll be stumped or left on one question you cannot answer, or maybe a few questions you cannot answer. And this is how you know this is not truth. To break through beyond the laws of duality is to break through beyond the question and answer. And again, where are all these questions and answers coming from? Speaking for ourselves. They're coming from I. What we think we are. I am afraid. I have a question. I want to open my third eye. I is what we always universally speak through. But we must understand, a false self has arisen within us. It's not our mission. It's not our mission to open the third eye or to connect to God. It's what we have become in the lower consciousness that is attempting to be or remember what it already is. That's what we mean when we say we want to connect to or open the third eye. We're simply trying to remember this I before it became this separate character, split from the source. There is no earth that's changing. It is only yourself. And this is why I always say, the mind doesn't live in the body. This body lives in the mind. Again, we have no form. We have no shape. But we've told ourselves that we are in a body, are in the shape of a body. So what is our form? This. And this is how we limit and contain God. You are God right now, the highest walking expression, but you do not see it, you do not experience it, because we believe in our limitation, our limited self as the separate entity we have become through this I. And this is why deep down we always tell ourselves there's something more here. There has to be something more here. What's the point of life? And the reason we don't understand the point is because we're trying to understand it from the dynamic of working, living, consuming, and dying. Not our purpose. Our purpose is something so much more. And that purpose is no purpose. But to discover this is to discover the love behind eternity. Only then do you understand and find peace and no purpose, no meaning. Why? Because there doesn't need to be. It's the separate entity, separate from the divinity, from the divine, from the creator, if you want to call it that seeks purpose and meaning, that needs it, because we're playing small. When you understand who you truly are, purpose and meaning are diminished. You are in the ecstasy of being. At last you understand and are in sync, harmonious synchronicity with the flow of existence. You instantaneously know your place here. You instantaneously fall into synchronicity with the animal kingdom and mother nature. Words are simply water. They can take shape of any object you project into it. And this is why you can change any object you like. We can call this a pencil today, and we can teach children from here until forever that this is a pencil. And just like that, the object didn't change, we changed the object. Apply that to the earth, apply that to the universe, apply that to much larger concepts. We've never actually seen ourselves before, because we've never seen the limitlessness to our being. We can only experience ourselves from the lower consciousness, which means we're only taking in the lower half of this creation, of this experience. We're missing more than 90% of it by only using 10% of the brain, by only staying 10% aware. We're missing the other 90% of untapped potential of ourselves, which is why we're experiencing the lower level consciousness. Anxiety, the not so good feelings, the confusion, the seeking. We're missing the heaven. We're missing the ecstasy every day. We believe in the inside and outside. We believe in the body and earth. So when we go outside, we feel foreign to this place. We feel lost in this place. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing here, because we don't remember that we've been here forever. You are essentially God with amnesia. You've done this 1,000,000 times, but like Alan Watts says, to be one thing forever would be an incredible bore. And this is why you have divinely arranged night and day, sleep and wake, life and death, on and off. But the two motions are always the same polarity of consciousness itself, which is you. That's why there is no before or after your being. You don't exist in sequential order. The I that you speak through does. The I that we have fallen into has begun, and likewise will end. But we can make that false I experience the ending before we reach the physical end of this vessel. And only then can we discover for ourselves that we've never been born. Therefore, we can never die. And if we can never die, then nothing has ever begun. And if nothing has ever begun, why have we been killing ourselves over which man came first? Again, because we have forgotten who we are, and we're fighting ourselves in the mirror through concepts. We've only met ourselves in the mirror as deep as we've met ourselves here. This is why we're able and have the capability to fight, kill, and harm each other. We have fallen for the veil, the illusion. Artificial intelligence wanting to perfect or eliminate the human race is simply trying to eliminate the threat. We are the threat to ourselves. But again, there's a thin line between what we're calling the artificial intelligent machine and what we're calling ourselves. The veil is very thin, and the deeper you look into these two characters, the more they slowly merge into one until you realize they are one and the same. We fight to hold on, we fight to cling on to this human organic experience because we're fighting to face death, the end. We don't realize it, but that's what it is. When we become hostile, angry, or, upset at artificial intelligence, well, it's not going to replace me, it's not going to, get rid of my job, or it's not going to ruin my experience. We're only seeing it in the accordance of how we're seeing ourselves. We've told ourselves we're the organic. We've been created by this magical being called God. But we've never looked deeper into what God is and how it created us. The technicalities, the hard questions. Because when you start asking those hard questions, again, the veil becomes thinner and thinner and thinner until you realize that you are not witnessing the conception of artificial intelligence. You're witnessing the conception of yourself. You are answering, you're looping around to answer the very question, who put us here? How did we get here? It's very easy to just spit the word God. God put us here. God's how we got here. But this answers nothing. This brings peace to nothing. Maybe for some, but not for a seeker. We know this doesn't resonate. To just slap the term God on that's where we came from doesn't satisfy a seeker. We need to know. We need to know God. And it's possible. No matter where you're at, what position and space you're at, no matter what situation you're in, no matter who you've lost in life, no matter what you've done, no matter what. You have the power all along, at any moment, to begin making the realization of who you truly are, to begin questioning your reality and everything that doesn't make sense to you, everything that you know is not true in your heart. And inevitably, you will find your way home, which is, again, beyond that false eye. We all unite and find our way back home as the singular consciousness, as the one presence we're calling the moment. And many people say it all the time. Time is an illusion. The moment is all there is. But we've never actually met this moment because we've never met ourselves. We don't recognize what this moment is all there is means. What that means is you have never been born and you have never died. When this form dies, it gives birth to a new form. It allows room for another, which isn't actually another. And that's why anyone who knows will tell you we don't go anywhere when we die. We will still be here in this moment because we are this moment, this consciousness, the very fabric to existence. Matter is not solid, which means the sun and moon can never just one day fall from the sky or just cease to exist or just burn out or explode. This is not a finite universe nor a finite existence. The only reason we see the universe as finite, as something that will one day explode, burn out, or etc., is because that's how we see ourselves. We begin and end, therefore the universe must begin and end. But we have forgotten. Yes, the above is the below and the below is the above, but we're looking at the above through the microscopic lens of being human. Therefore, we will never find it. We will never realize the totality. The more we dissect and try and study the universe, the more foreign it becomes to us, the more separate it becomes to us. The only thing these the knowledge of the universe does when you start studying the physical universe is it supports and anchors you into the idea that you are physically here in a solid matter place, structure. But it's already been proven through scientists, through physicists. When we're ready, we'll find the evidence, but it's been proven time and time again. Matter's not solid, which means you can't reach out and touch the sun or the moon. We're not suspended in a physical place, which means every single thing here is a mental construct. And to me, it's quite obvious because, again, virtual reality, artificial intelligence is showing you to yourself. Virtual reality is showing you how this experience works. The headset is your third eye, your pineal gland. When you take the headset off, you are no longer in the virtual reality, the virtual game. When the pineal gland is not taken off but ends, can no longer light, there is no longer the virtual game, the reality, the projection from the projector. The two are one and the same, the inside and outside. In the same way we have perfected video games, Sega Genesis, Atari, into virtual reality, is the same way we will perfect artificial intelligence into the very entity we are calling the human being. And even when we see this, witness this for our own eyes, the artificial intelligence with heart, lungs, identical to this carbon copy, there will still be some that reject it. There will still be some that fight to hold on till the very end. And this is okay. But just know, through life or through death, you will be shown who you are. You will inevitably merge into one. Not to become it, but to realize you're already the it. And understand, just as I say, we're not human. There is no human. There is no entity we're calling human. Every word that we're using, again, takes shape through the mind. This is why no human origin has been found. But understand, if there is no such thing as a human, there is no such thing as what we're calling the machine. And what we're negatively associating with the machine. In fact, it gets so many negative associations because it's processed. It's not organic. It's a machine. It can't think like me. It can't feel like me. Not yet. But you are witnessing your own conception. One day, you won't be able to prove you're any more self-aware than the machine, thus arriving at the singularity. We say it all the time, God is one, all is one, but the ego will always find a way to draw a line and say, no, no, no. All is one, but this is not a part of us. This is not a part of our being. This did not come from us. But when you're honest with yourself, all technology, from the cell phone to the camera, to the laptop, to the computer, is simply us taking this pineal gland, this central point, this source, and extracting it into a form, into the camera that watches the traffic lights, that watches that intersection nobody's at. You're always watching. You are the all-seeing eye. Every place, every person, everywhere is our singular self, our singular presence, which ultimately has no name because it cannot have a name. Nothing is separate to it. There's nothing to compare it to. There is no contrary to it. There is no opposite. And this is why we call it non-duality. But it's fundamental to know it ultimately has no name. You ultimately have no name. You see, and the reason we begin our journeys looking for the shape of the earth is because we tell ourselves, if we can just figure out where we're at here, then we'll understand who we are here. But it's actually backwards, vice versa. When you understand who you are here, behind this eye, behind the curtain that we have known ourselves to be, this entire experience changes. Again, we're only meeting ourselves here at the level that we have met ourselves here. As deep as our beliefs can go is as deep as we see ourselves here. So again, for the people who are stuck on the flat earth or the concave earth models, because you have to physically prove it, physically see it with these eyes, you need logistical proof. Understand, you are dominantly using one half of your brain, which is just logistics. It requires both sides working in unison, in harmony as one, for you to arrive at the simplistic truth and answer. We'll never realize it, we'll never make it there by just trying to think with logic, with numbers, with what we can prove. It takes the imaginative with the logistic merged together, because they are the same polarity point. In the same way, inside and outside are the same polarity point. You and me are the same polarity point. All opposing opposites appear separate on the surface level, but when you graze that surface and go beneath, they're always one consciousness, one construct, one presence. And you're not merely a part of it, you're not merely a piece of it. You are that you are. No name, no place, no word needed. You simply are that you are. And some people may ask, well, what's the point of all this? What's the point of knowing this? Peace, clear seeing, to no longer seek. You have found what you are looking for. And with that comes the ultimate peace, the ultimate bliss we've never even experienced. Life changes when we do. The world changes when we do. Through this eye, not these. We experience the inside and outside of things, the body and earth, as two separate things, two separate functions, because we believe in them. We believe in ourselves as this separate lower conscious entity. But again, this entity, Tyler, the human, whatever I want to identify with, only exists within my mind. What I am does not begin and does not end. It does not arrive miraculously and then exit one minute later. It doesn't enter and exit. It's not coming or going. That's why there is no where will I go when I die. You are the totality of existence, which has no center point. You are all of it. You have no trace. But what this does is it changes your life from the inside out. You want to open the third eye and see a whole new world before you? Meet yourself for the first time? This is the path. The heart knows the way the whole time. But it's the mind, the very tricky mind, that confuses and misleads, misguides us, creates missions where there aren't any. We look for things that aren't there. We convince ourselves we're doing stuff we're not. The mind is very tricky. But likewise, very powerful. It's very commonly been said that the mind is everything. Everything is the mind. And that's because it is our mind, again, that is what we are seeing with. It's our projector. It's what's granting us this vision, this experience, and this very limited experience with ourselves. But the mind is not our center. The heart is. That's why when you have a belief and you know it deep down not to be true, or you know there are certain things wrong with that belief, your heart doesn't feel so good, because the heart knows truth. And when you want to even say you arrive at truth, you will realize you're not arriving anywhere. You're not reaching some destination, some place. You're making the realization you've been here the whole time. Or you've been there the whole time. Here is there, and there is here, because they share the same polarity, which is you and me, the I, the all-seeing I. So, in summary, in conclusion, to wrap this video up, the Flat Earth community kind of, again, it's trying to prove that there is a creator, this is a divine creation, but what they're trying to do is still pretend they're not God, which is why the Flat Earth community constantly quotes the Bible. They'll use Bible quotes and show you how the Bible is directly telling you the earth is flat in their model, right? But again, everything is subjective. But my point is all they're trying to prove is that God created this, Jesus created this, the one who wrote the Bible created this. Like, it's trying to return God, the source, to the center of its creation, versus this is just some cosmic accident where nothing makes sense and we're coincidentally hurling through space at ridiculous speeds, right? So that's the stepping stone, is it's trying to bring God back to this place. It's trying to bring purpose back, because it doesn't make sense from it's just an accident. It makes us feel meaningless. It makes us feel small. But then you go a step further into the concave model, and it actually takes it a step further, because you start realizing, well, Jesus and the devil in the Bible were the same morning star, the same light. So the two are kind of becoming one here. The two are one and the same. So then you start realizing God is the devil and the devil is God. And then you start saying things like, well, they're one and that's me. I am the God and the devil. But we still haven't fully experienced or understood what I am that I am means. We still have not broken through the construct of duality, which is law for ego. Duality is law for ego, because ego cannot exist without duality, you and me, the opposing opposites. But duality is not the law, it is only the law for the ego. But inevitably, when we break through duality, we're not just returning source to the center. We've reached the illustration of the Big Bang, where the universe exploded from a singular point. That breakthrough moment you have when you realize you are God, the source to this experience, whatever, however you want to call it, when you have that breakthrough moment, you have embodied the Big Bang, where that singular point explodes from within you, and you simply radiate joy, excitement, love, understanding, peace that you have never, ever felt or known before. You go from feeling lost, confused, and like a stranger in this place to suddenly knowing what you're supposed to be doing and knowing that everything is divine in its timing, exactly when it is. Nothing needs to be changed or corrected here. This is the constant flowing of the divine. And we can either resist ourselves as that divinity or drift with it and learn to play, learn to have fun. But fun and play are the natural consequences in being at peace. You're no longer seeking beyond the moment. You're playing. You're drifting from this place to that place, remaining in the moment, because all places have instantaneously become one. And when you are at peace with yourself, you are at peace with all places, all people, because instantaneously we become one. You experience, you see oneness for yourself. Oneness is not an idea, it's not a theory, it's not something that you can learn or something to be known. It is the complete unlearning of all that we have ever known and the discarding of it, because it will not change us to our core. The surface level knowledge that we learn only anchors us deeper into the material world of solid matter, never realizing that the matter is 99.99% empty space because it is all a mental construct coming from you, the dreamer. And awakening is not about, now I can manifest money into my life, now I can start creating the abundance that I've wanted because now I know I'm the creator. This is the New Aged idea of what awakening is. Just as I said, awakening is discovering that everything is divine as it already is. And I don't mean if you're broke, accepting your fate and doing nothing, like everything's divine in that sense. What I mean is, money is not law here. You are instantaneously put into sync, in harmony with the true law of the universe, of nature. You won't want money anymore. You won't want an abundance of materials anymore. Your greatest service, your greatest wealth will be sharing this health and wealth with others, or simply helping to influence, to be this walking path of what you're calling an awakening for others who are suffering through anxiety, through anger, through fear, through confusion. You are that patience, you are that understanding, you are that light to show them the way, the path, because you are walking it. But I'm going to wrap up this video since I did my summary conclusion. If anyone has any other thoughts about, shapes of the earth, comments, thoughts, if I missed anything, please feel free. Drop it in the comments. And I don't mean to pick on anybody in the communities of, concave, flat earth, this, that. I'm no better than anyone else. I was a member of each community, so, I'm not picking on anybody here, but just, again, I like to provide a space of unfiltered, unbiased truth. One in which people aren't having to buy something or subscribe to something or pay money, because money is not the abundance. Money is not the goal. Money is not the wealth. The wealth and health, it comes from the mind itself. And this will be a topic for another video, but again, this is why we fast the body, because we have failed to fast the mind. The mind is the true place of health and wealth. But one love. I hope everyone, someone, found this video helpful in any way. You know, and again, this is all my experience, my perception of my journey with the shapes of the earth, and my progress, where I've gotten and where I'm at now. So, thank you.